if I go into your house, right? Anybody who's watching this, if I go into your house in your personal space, okay, and your home is in disarray. And what do I mean when I say disarray? I mean like there's dirty dishes in the sink, you got clothes all over the floor, your living room looks like it's in complete disorder, right? Maybe your bathroom hasn't been cleaned in like a month or two. There's a high probability that that is a reflection of what you are experiencing in here and in here. Because we tend to externalize that. We project what's going on inside of our bodies into our actual living environments.
Of these emotions by not acknowledging them and accepting them and feeling through them. Another visual that I like to use with the people I work with is like anger, for example. If it's like a hot coal that you're holding on to, like it's burning your hand and you're holding on to it, and a lot of the time, what we really need to do is let go. And once you do, you realize, oh, my hand don't hurt. Oh, all right, well, I didn't even know that, but we become so identified. I'm the guy who holds a hot coal. That's who I am. Well, we don't need to do that. We actually do have the choice to allow those emotions to pass, and we can let go of them, especially when they're not serving us. Like we can really allow them to pass, and the sky might even move a little bit quicker if we actually let go.
I would make the case. I think that it does. To your point, I think it does, because the more you acknowledge it, it allows it to move more through that process. It's a natural process, right? That we all go through. I've literally said that. I don't know how many times I've said that in the last week to my clients. Like, there's no way to microwave or go through that process other than to go through it. You cannot go around it and somehow still end up on your path. You have to go through it. Otherwise, like we've said on a previous one of these calls, you are effectively dragging that stuff behind you. It's all this emotional baggage that you're carrying, and it will always be there. I don't care if years have gone by and you're like, man, that was like 7 years ago. There's no way that's possibly still there. It's still there. Believe me, it's still there. If it wasn't there, I wouldn't need to exist.
Right.
Because we wouldn't need to work through any of that stuff. I assure you, it is there. It is probably plaguing you to a certain degree, either individually in your family dynamics and your relationships. And if you don't want that to be the case, you have to be willing to work through that. So first is identifying it and being okay with sitting in it and understanding that it's natural, some of these emotions that I might be experiencing at this moment, but I just need to make sure I'm equipped to know how to handle it.
I love it. And when it comes to acknowledgement, I'm a very visual person because I think those are really good tools. That's a really good way. That's how our memories work, like through stories. So I believe that a really good way to think about this is like you're cleaning out a closet. Like when you're doing the inner work, you're literally cleaning out a closet. And there's multiple ways you can go about it. Going about it from like the perspective, okay, so I have a really cluttered closet. Like it's just a bunch of stuff in there, a little bit of everything, things that I haven't seen in 10, 15 years, 20 years. Like it's just in there collecting dust and all that stuff. The best way to go about it really is to clear everything out. And what you could do, like if you kind of just stick to like acknowledging them and like just, okay, I acknowledge, say, oh, I'm sad about that. And then you kind of put it back in the closet. All right, we're good. It's not going to be helpful. So that's where you can start asking yourself, like, okay, is this actually serving me? When was the last time I used this? Is this actually helping me in living the life that I want to live? So when we're doing that inner work, when we're cleaning that closet out, to use the same words, we can actually, okay, look, oh, I see this. Is this a VHS tape? Okay, like I haven't even used. I don't have a VHS tape at all. So we can acknowledge them. Like, all right, let me donate this. Let me let go of this. And then when you go back to your closet, you have even more space to actually add more and new experiences to your life, and even reshape your identity in a way that actually serves you more. So I love using that verbiage because I think it's a very applicable way to look at that inner work as well, and also at the same time like gives us that idea that it's not just about acknowledging them and putting them back in the closet and like just like, all right, like okay, see you. Okay, like you ain't even cleaned it up. Like you ain't even.
we're not gonna have resolved everything if we're just pointing at it. It's like, okay, I see it over there in the corner. That's fear over there from last year. we're gonna tuck that back over in the corner. I'm not ready to deal with that yet.
Let me cover it
But
with this new. Let me cover it with this new hobby I'm picking up. Like, oh, I don't see it anymore. I'm too busy.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I'll
that's
pretend
right.
out of sight, out of mind. That's what a lot of us do. Out of sight, out of mind. I
Exactly.
do want to build. I want to build what you said, Carlos. I want to build
I
on
love
that
it.
because
Please, please do.
I think
Please
you bring up a good point. I'm a very organized person. Now everybody might not be very organized as me, and that's totally fine. So don't think that I'm trying to say that you have to do this. But I want to make a therapy connection though to what you're saying. So I believe that if I go into your house, right? Anybody who's watching this, if I go into your house in your personal space, okay, and your home is in disarray. And what do I mean when I say disarray? I mean like there's dirty dishes in the sink, you got clothes all over the floor, your living room looks like it's in complete disorder, right? Maybe your bathroom hasn't been cleaned in like a month or two. There's a high probability that that is a reflection of what you are experiencing in here and in here. Because we tend to externalize that. We project what's going on inside of our bodies into our actual living environments. So if I go into that space and I see that it's all messed up and it's all jacked up because you're just like, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, I don't care enough.
Right.
There's a good chance you're probably struggling to a certain degree. And that might be a way, for example, like if a friend came over or a family member came over and they're like, I'm over here stepping over stuff. Like, geez, man, like, why you got boxes here from like 6 months ago? Didn't you move in here already? Why are you not settled in? That can tell somebody an indication you might need some help. Somebody needs to reach out to you. Somebody needs to ask you how you're doing, because that's not what we would want to see in a healthy functioning adult or person. You would want to, even if you're not the most organized, that's totally fine. But if you literally are barely touching anything in your space to have any sense of organization or just feeling like you are very set up in your home, I feel at peace in my home, I feel like I truly live here. Those could be warning signs, to go back to your previous point. Those could be warning signs that I need some additional help. I need some additional support. So keep that in mind. If your house is kind of in disorder, you might want to take some time and at least get that a little bit addressed, because it will allow you to at least feel a little bit more calm. When you come into your home, you want peace. Right. You don't want to bring in the stress. For those of you that don't work from home and you go to an office setting, you already deal with stress there. You don't want to have to bring that home, and then your home is already stressful. Now you're compounding that. That's not helpful. You don't want work stress, home stress. I'm super stressed. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to sit in my closet. I'm going to go cry in the corner right now. That's not helpful. So I just want to make that point.
I agree. There's two quotes as you bring that up. I think that's so important, what you're saying, though. As within, so without. I think it's really important for us to like acknowledge the fact that like a lot of the time when our environments are basically controlling us, like that usually is a sign that of what's happening inside. Like it's so important that you bring that up. I believe in inner peace, outer abundance. Like if you feel like you want to have a lot of things around you and stuff like that, but you're not even taking the time to have reverence and gratitude for the things that you have. And by that I mean like taking the time to like use the things that you have. If you have a lot of things, are you really using them? Are you taking care of them, removing the dust? Like are you actually making sure that they're still functioning, that they actually even work? Like if you have something for 20 years and you haven't even used it, how do you like, are you really grateful for it? Are you really having some reverence to it and like, you know, giving it that love? And so it's important for us to have like, even especially if you have a lot in your mind, it can be really helpful to start with your environment. From an applied behavioral perspective, environment is one of the most powerful things we can actually start to change to create inner change. So if you're like, oh, my whole life is a mess, all right, start with the things that you can see. Like start by organizing your environment, what's around you, so that you can have a little bit more clarity. So when you do get home, you can sit down, be at peace, and actually be able to sit down to meditate. It's really difficult to sit down to meditate when you have a mess around you, like when you have a lot of stuff going on. Like you're gonna be trying to meditate. It's like, oh, I gotta clean them dishes. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I ain't even done that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so it could definitely be more difficult. But when you made your bed, when you organized your books, when you have everything, and when you have the organization around you, it makes it a lot easier for you to do that inner work that we talk about for all of these calls. Like if you're having a hard time, you're like, okay, like it really does start. Like if you are having a hard time starting in, start outside, and you'll see be a lot easier for you to come back inside and like really do that inner work and dive into those emotions that we might be avoiding and might be, moving away from. If that makes
Absolutely.
sense, of course.
It no, absolutely does. It's basically like those are like barriers, right? Those are external barriers that can make it
Ooh.
more difficult to do the work, like to your point, to do the work that I'm saying I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the barriers are self-inflicted. Like I'm putting them there. If we're running a 100-meter hurdle race, I'm putting all these extra hurdles there. I was supposed to run 10 and now I'm jumping 15 because I'm getting in my own way. No, how about we take those 5 back out and just run the race the way we're supposed to?
Right.
So we don't want to make extra burden. We don't want to make it extra difficult to acknowledge how we're feeling, to have the space, the physical and the mental and emotional space to actually process and more importantly, engage in a real way to learn how to work through them. So Carlos's point is absolutely spot on. The bare minimum we could do, have some level of organization in your home because you need peace. It's very hard to have the emotional capacity to tackle any of the stuff that we have to deal with on a regular basis when your home is in disarray, because that is going to become an immediate barrier. It's an immediate problem that if I don't fix that, I'm not going to have the energy to say, you know what, let me deal with this crap that I had to deal with at work today, or with my child that happened today, or my partner said this today, and I don't even know how to deal with that because look at this place. Just look at it. I don't even know what to start. And then I do nothing. I do absolutely nothing, and the cycle perpetuates.